All right, guys, welcome to Anything Everything Cornhole Podcast. I'm here with Richard. How you doing?
Good, man. The American Spartan.
I forget that you even go
Feeling
by
good.
American Spartan. I'm so used to now Richard.
Well, Richard Nyberg for anything ACL wise,
Yeah.
obviously. But and even that, I still have the nickname American Spartan under my
Your ACL
my
tag.
actual ACL tag. Yeah.
All right, so people are going to be wondering, what is this podcast all about? What can they expect us to be talking about on here? Because, we're not going to be just some average podcast, in my opinion. What can they get when they come here?
I mean, I think the name speaks for itself as anything, everything cornhole. We'll be covering anything from obviously our journey, what we've been doing, from if it's big events to club events. I mean, we also got the Derby coming up here real soon. That's a big one.
That is a good one.
And, covering stuff that's not us and other players from pros. And then even just hoping to get callers in and talk about either their clubs or, just anything about them, whether they're a pro or not. But we get some people on and just have a lot of fun in here. So, yeah.
Cool. So basically, I think we should intro ourselves because obviously they don't know who we are. Maybe a little bit of background with Cornhole. So you want to start or you want me to start?
It's all you start it up and then I'll follow through.
All right. So basically I got into Cornhole maybe a little bit over maybe a year and a half now. Last May or a year and a half ago, May, whatever that is. But I basically got into it because of my cousin. I went to one tournament. I pretty much got hooked after that. I've been doing YouTube for over 6 years, so that's kind of where the YouTube side came with it. And just I figured I can make videos, make money playing cornhole, and try to help pursue the career of going pro eventually down the road. But yeah, I basically got hooked, started playing cornhole ever since, and started going to tournaments, and then now we're here. We're doing a podcast.
Let's go,
I know
man.
your background's a little bit more in depth with this kind of stuff, but
not too much more. Started out in horseshoes. Basically, I think I started around, I want to say 12, 13 years old. Went to my first tournament, got completely smacked, which, I mean, that's a given. Nobody goes in and just tears up, on anybody and anything.
yeah, of course.
I never stopped practicing from then on out. After I played my first tournament, I was so hooked and I just wanted to be one of the best players and just constantly at home practicing. I even got I got my first club tournament win I think a month in. Was pretty cool.
And then I played the same thing as cornhole, where you sign up and then you go and just kind of the same people over and over, or do you have to drive further? Is it a little bit more spread out? Because I never even heard of horseshoes. I knew it was a thing, but I never even knew you could go to big tournaments and stuff.
Oh yeah, there was huge tournaments. There was honestly there's club tournaments too. We had our club and then we would travel around and you had to get if you wanted to go to the big stuff like worlds or state, you had to have enough tournaments under your belt. Basically, you had to throw in a certain amount. But everything from singles to there was doubles, we had blind draws and things like that. I ended up getting state champion. I think if I remember correctly, I became a state champion in my first year of throwing. And it was a junior state champion, but nonetheless, I'm a new guy coming in. Yeah, I'm coming in and
you got to start somewhere.
I remember the dude came up to me. We both went undefeated that day. So then we naturally had to have a pitch off for the championship,
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, I'm a 5-time champion. Just want you to know, trying to,
scare you,
rattle me and everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm brand new, man. I said, I'm so new to this game, but I throw every day. And he's like, well, good luck with that. And then, I ended up I beat him so bad that there wasn't even, I think probably 30 shoes in, there was no way he could even come back. And I beat him, said good game. I tried to say good game and he ran off, hopped the fence, and he I don't even know where he went, to his mom or something. I don't know.
How do you feel like horseshoes translates over to cornhole fairly easy, or do you think that didn't help you kind of at all, or how do you feel?
Oh no, it's huge, man. I mean, look at Matt Guy, straight up horseshoe player.
Mm-hmm.
there's in bowlers too. I did high
Yeah.
school bowling. I was really good at that. I had like over a 200 average. It was pretty
Oh wow.
solid. Um, no, man, it's hand-eye coordination. I think
Hmm.
the one thing though about cornhole that separates it from the other sports, like bowling is huge. We all know that.
Yeah.
Horseshoes is on a lower end. I mean, there's can still be good money to be made. However, it's not as popular.
How did you even
Um,
practice cornhole? Do you have to like find pits? Because I know like the length is you can't just set up.
you talking about horseshoes?
Yeah, like I feel like you just set up boards in your backyard. You practice. Like, did you have to go somewhere for horseshoes, or like
We
kind
had
of?
pits made.
Okay.
Um, basically you just get a 5 gallon bucket, you fill it up with cement, you put your stakes in there, and then you have to go 40 feet across from each other.
Yeah.
So we threw 40. Now, when I was a junior, I threw 30 feet.
Okay.
Still 3 feet farther than, a
Hmm.
cornhole board. But yeah, I did that I was a horseshoe player for 10 years, going up and just constantly competing. Did really, really well. Took out some pretty good players. And the only time that I ever caught myself slacking was I went to Worlds right after I became a state champion. And I wasn't practicing the same way I was practicing for state. Like I was out every single day for state, hours a day just throwing. And then Worlds was coming up, and I'm like riding high because I'm like, I'm a state champion, I'm going to the Worlds. That didn't matter at all. Practice, really changes, if you're not practicing enough,
Yes.
it's gonna show. And I didn't throw bad, but I got smacked in a lot of games. People just took it more serious than I did for that stint of a couple months, in between, from state to the Worlds. And I think I finished. There was like 40 players in my division, and I got like 12th.
Hmm.
It wasn't like a bad day, but it was pretty. It was still like if I would have practiced a lot more like I did for state, it would have been probably a different outcome.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel like a lot of players nowadays, like for cornhole at least, that I see playing, they all just go to these tournaments every single day, every single week. And I'm like, does that really get you better? Because I mean, you're only getting in maybe 100, 200 throws like each night, and you're just competing. Like rather than like sitting in your backyard and throwing a couple hundred, couple thousand a day, like you're definitely going to get way better, way faster sitting in your backyard and maybe going to a tournament like once, twice a week. I feel like because you still need that tournament experience and that pressure put on you, but I also feel like the practice will add up because you're getting way more reps than like the average person.
Well, if you look at once or twice, I would say if you look at once or twice a week, I mean, that does make sense if you're at home and you're throwing every day and you're throwing like 1,000+ bags. Now, I mean, you could throw 1,000+ bags and just keep going hole for hole. That's going to make you accurate. But unless you're like setting up scenarios on the board,
Yeah.
working past a block or setting, trying to one of the biggest things I think where a lot of players fall short is not knowing how to block, like back block a blocker, like get right behind it. I
Hmm.
think one of the biggest things that you could do is probably just spend a good hour nonstop just trying to get a bag behind that bag
Hmm.
every single time, and make them work for it. Because especially like as more elite players you face, a lot of them, I mean, will hold chase if they, if that's like their specialty, but a lot more are going to be a defensive player. And
Yeah.
about 70% of the time, you're looking at a block getting right in your way. So if you just know how to work past a block, set that up on the board. Don't just sit there and throw 1,000 bags down the hole.
Hmm.
Unless you want that for a day, you're like, okay, today I'm just hole chasing all day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm gonna do scenarios. The next day
Hmm.
I'm gonna work rolls. The next day I'm gonna work, some airmail shots, or whatever. I'm gonna, maybe some trick plays and stuff. I think you got to mix it up, but I think you need to be really consistent. So yeah, a couple tournaments a week, but if you blended it in with practicing throughout the week as well,
Yeah.
you got to have both.
Yeah, of course. I just feel like also these people, a lot of them have 9 to 5s, which luckily I don't, so I can practice pretty much whenever I want. But most people just want to go to a tournament, relax, and have fun and play. And then there's definitely going to be a difference if someone says in practice is like a lot. That's what's going to set them apart of the basic player.
Oh, it's huge.
As we
I
found
mean,
out yesterday playing the regional.
I've been playing. Let's be real. we didn't even finish where I started in horseshoes, but
Mm-hmm.
I've only been in cornhole for 6 months, like
Yeah.
roughly. Like actually, I think I'm 6 months now. So, but in 6 months time, I've already taken down pros, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I've been taken down many times. Obviously, it's cornhole. This what separates this from horseshoes is the fact that it is a chess match.
Yeah.
Hand-eye coordination meets chess, like it really does. And then also just, I think what made me better than a lot of people starting out was I already knew that feeling. I knew that feeling of, the one-on-one, because
Yeah.
it's you just versus your opponent next to you. So I knew how that felt. I do get some jitters. Like yesterday, I'll be real. We
Mm-hmm.
had that regional. I had some jitters
Yeah.
because that was my first one. It only took me a game to get through it,
Mm-hmm.
but nonetheless, you still feel stuff. I mean,
Oh yeah.
we're
I'm sure the
human,
pros
so
still feel it. I mean, they are on the main stage and they end up missing just an easy bag up the middle
yeah,
because they need it for a four bagger to win the game or to keep themselves alive, and they miss a little bit off to left or right, and then it costs them the game. But when that pressure is put on you, knowing that you can win $50,000 or $40,000, like it's definitely a
yeah,
whole different. If you've been there before, then you might be a little bit better at it. But the first time you go up against that, like it might get to your head a little bit.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, we're human. Like I said,
Yeah.
it's jitters will happen. Um, so I had that edge, of being able to just understand what it feels like. Like my son plays and he gets really nervous, but he never has been in that setting. He's played
Mm-hmm.
sports, but it was team sport, baseball, football,
Yeah.
it's everybody's around you kind of, you know what I mean? It's different than when you got that one-on-one setting. So he's
Mm-hmm.
fighting through it and he's trying to get more comfortable with it, but it's going to take a while. It took me a long time.
I mean,
I
that's how
now just have the
wrestling was for
mindset.
me. It's
Right.
one on one. You go
Yeah,
out
it's
there.
one-on-one.
And then I think what got to me in my junior year when I went to what is it? Not state, but I forget what they call it. But basically, it's like just like the whole
Was
Southern
it like
California
nationals
area.
or something? Or
No, it wasn't. I went to nationals.
CIF or
No, it's called Masters because Southern
mm,
California is so big that they have to take 6 CIFs and combine them. So you have to place top 5 at CIF to go to Masters and place top 9 to go to state.
right.
And my junior year was inside Ontario Citizens Bank Arena. And when you walk out and you see a whole stadium around you, you're just like, damn, like this is crazy. And then my senior year, I ended up getting 10th, and you
Right.
can be top 9 to go to state. But like I was put in the situation basically like you make it or you don't. You're one-on-one wrestling someone. You're on the jumbotron with someone announcing the whole time, and the whole stadium's watching you. So, yeah, that's definitely some pressure put on you with a bunch of eyes just staring at you because they obviously want to know who makes it, who doesn't, all
Of
that
course.
kind of stuff. But, yeah.
Yeah, you get that, so you understand the one-on-ones.
Yeah, it's definitely a different
And
feeling than, like, what most people are used to. The first time you get that, you're just like, what
oh yeah,
is going
I
on?
mean, when we have doubles, it's still the same. I
Mhm.
mean, obviously you got a partner to to kind of like help you out, but it's still that mental game. It's just you versus that one,
Yeah.
and
I,
then you got to hope your partner
I find
does their
doubles
end.
to be harder than singles, in my opinion.
See, I would be more on the doubles has been better for me only because I've had less experience in singles. Our club barely does it. I mean, I've done a handful of them. And it's not that I can't do it. Obviously, I did well,
Mhm.
but I think it's just right now it's been better doubles because that's really what I've been used to. So
Yeah, I mean, I've done a couple singles, not too many, but I think playing singles for me, I don't have the pressure of letting someone down. So like when we're playing
Right.
regionals, right? Like I'm focused on beating the person next to me, but I also don't want to let you down. So like it's more like a stressful situation rather than in singles. I'm like, well, the only person I'm letting myself down is me. So if I want to take the airmail or the roll, like, you know what I'm saying? Like it just
Right.
like I feel like I let things flow better. And then being able to walk back and forth and just like reset that you never like if you're standing on one side of the board and you start to go downhill, like you got to figure it out on that one side of the board. But in singles,
Right.
like you're just walking, like if you're like, oh, my outside sucked that time, now I'm gonna go inside. So like it just changes and then you kind of reset. So it's
Right.
like a little bit easier for me to reset and just figure everything out. And I feel like I just flow better in singles, but definitely with doubles, like I like doubles more, But I feel like singles comes more like calmly to me, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I get you. I get you. And then yeah, like you said, the biggest point was you have nobody to blame but yourself on a bad
Mm-hmm.
game. I totally get that. Now, doubles is really good though because it gives you kind of like that edge to be able to have your partner looking at the board and seeing something that you may not be seeing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because yes, you have timeouts. You can walk over if you want to see it, but I mean, there's stuff that you could just be like, "Oh, yeah, he does have a good point right here."
Mm-hmm.
I can split that instead of trying to go over that right now. I can split through it, hit this bag, knock his bag out of the way, versus man, like you get the shot and you're like, oh, I got it, but now I thought about it and I could have done this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like the extra set of eyes and that reassurance, like, hey, maybe you're on the right path, or no, wait, wait for
Mm-hmm.
him to make that next move and then see where it goes from there. But they both have their perks.
Yeah.
But remember too, dude, you got a timeout. So if you're feeling
Mm-hmm.
like I need to reset for a second, we never did, and we should have.
Yeah.
Yesterday we definitely should have called timeouts just to we didn't have to call a timeout to look at the board.
Mm-hmm.
Call timeout. I mean, you could call a timeout to come look at the board and just be like, hey, I just wanted to walk over here real quick, kind of calm
Yeah.
down a second, and just
Mm-hmm.
get my rhythm back. So yeah, but we're working through it.
Yeah.
We're working through the things that we should be doing, and just working through the things that we need to correct. And we noticed a lot of our stuff yesterday. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, I think just learning how your doubles partners play, like what their style is, what they feel comfortable, what they don't feel comfortable, what's their strengths and weaknesses, like that definitely plays a factor. And going into it, we've only played 4 tournaments together. 4.
yeah,
That was our 4th.
It's been a few, yeah.
And so I feel like that'll definitely develop over time and it'll get better. And just trying to figure out oh, this is the capability that they have to do this, or I'm not going to suggest this because it might not work as well as something like you could do or something.
Right. Well, speaking of that, before we get into yesterday's regional, we can talk about how we ended up meeting. I personally knew, I found you on YouTube first. And then I remember we went to Paul's birthday bash with the BackdoorBaggers and saw you throwing in there. And then I just remember we got an open court and we hit it off. And the good thing is the fact that we both do content creating. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been streaming on Twitch and stuff for almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we had that kind of that same background. And then we also just have the same mentality and the same drive to want to do more in the sport.
Yeah.
So I think that worked a lot. At that time too, when I was throwing, oh my God, there was nothing technical about me at all. It was just kind of I was going in the hole. It's not that I couldn't hit my shots, but it's crazy to see how far you've come. Oh man.
I remember the first time I played you at the bash. I was like, you want to play a practice game? And you're like, you're gonna beat me, and I'm like, and what's the point? Let's just play. And you're like, yeah, I got these Viper R's a month ago from my viewers. They helped me get them, this and that. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then we played. And I think I beat you 21 to 10 or something.
Yeah, I think 10 was gracious, man. It's probably under 10.
But yeah, no. And then now you're what, a 70 something SPR. You're throwing probably better than me.
I'm throwing. Well, if we look at Scoreholio, which the majority of my stats come out of Scoreholio, just because we started the new season for ACL. I've been number 1 in our club now for over 3 months now. I'm ranked 47th in California, and globally I'm 354. I'm not doing too bad. 1.26 DPR. I'm average on my average. I'm at an 8.45 PPR now, 71% win percentage, and a 76.83 SPR. My last 30 days, I'm shooting a 9 with a 20% 4-bagger. My off the board is only 6%. So yeah, I'm shooting elite, and I feel elite. And that's why I took the step to go platinum elite this year. Now, it's up to me to get better. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, in just that short amount of time is where I'm at now. Exactly. The first time me and you threw, I think I was like shooting a six something. Like it wasn't fantastic, but at that time I was like, oh yeah, I'm doing good. I think I was up to like top 10 in our club. So, and I'm like, I'm going to go to every single tournament. I'm going to get experience. I'm going to play against all these different players.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you get better. You play against your same, club over and over and over again. You're really only going to match up and understand how
Well, it's
they
because
throw.
you master how they throw, and if
Yeah.
you go into an ACL, people don't understand that like Score Julio, like you get pretty much the same people over and over and over. But if
Unless you're traveling.
yeah. But I'm saying like even those same people travel, but when you get an ACL, it pulls people from like hours of way that you've never
Yeah.
even seen before. And like,
Right.
and it's usually the people that take the game a little bit more serious. Like when you're at a Score Julio tournament, it's like maybe the top 5 guys take it serious. Other than that, everyone's just kind of there to have fun. But when you go to an ACL, every single person that signed up is taking it serious because they want to go to the next level. So it's like you're not going to have any easy matches. Everything's going to be like a finals match at a Score Julio tournament. And that's what people don't understand about the difference between an ACL tournament and a Score Julio tournament.
No, I totally agree. The big thing about Score Julio is if you're playing advanced, you're generally going to get players who take the game more serious. There's more money involved.
Yeah.
And then I'm not saying everybody in advanced is taking it super serious. They just some of them have just been playing a long time that they know they go into intermediate or social or anything, and they're gonna just blow them out of the water. I won't list names about yesterday's regional, but there was a couple guys in the intermediate that definitely should have been higher up. They played at a very high level, so I'm not gonna list names.
I mean, that kind of happened.
We're here. We're not here to call them out, but I just feel like you could have, like you could have upped your game more and given yourself more of a challenge versus kind of taking the free money.
I mean, that was like my first ACL I ever played. Well, I played Bag Mania, but then so I guess it's my second, and I still had the intermediate badge and everything. So I was like, I'm gonna throw myself into comp and just see how it goes, right? So I ended up playing comp doubles with my cousin. And then he played intermediate singles, and I played comp singles. And that was actually like one of my first singles events, I think. I don't think I ever played singles before that because I always was more comfortable with a teammate. Going into that, we ended up getting king seat and lost our first match because these guys obviously been playing the whole time. We sat for like an hour or whatever. Came back, beat them the second game, won comp doubles, and then I went undefeated in comp singles. And then obviously the guy that was running it said, yeah, if you're rolling over bags, because I hit like 2 perfect rolls over like a line of 3 bags or 2 bags or something. It's in a video that I posted.
Right.
But then he's like, yeah, you should probably be playing in advance if you're doing that kind of stuff. So my tag got bumped up to competitive as of right now. But I'm sure if we just keep winning and keep going forward, like playing an open, it's just going to go up.
It was funny. I set mine for the last season. I set it at intermediate, and I legitimately didn't play a single ACL tournament anywhere other than Throwdown. And even the Throwdown, I only did the blind draws because I got in there late, and everything was full. The only thing that wasn't full was doubles, but I didn't have a doubles partner, and there was a lot of misinformation telling me, oh yeah, it's $360. However, it's like you play like you play like your rounders. Like I'm thinking four rounds into like double limb, and it turned out it was like 2 days worth of doubles.
Yeah, no, the first day was supposed to be 7 games.
7 or 8 games, right? Yeah,
it was
massive amount of games.
You played like a round robin in your bracket of 8 people, but we actually only had 7 teams in ours, so we had 1 bye.
Right.
Me and my cousin actually went 4-2. In that, and then we got placed in A bracket, and then the second day is like playoffs, I guess, or like when the real tournament starts. Right. And we got Mark Richards and Alex Hicks our first game.
Nice.
So, yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, you got beat down.
Well, no, the thing was, is I looked at our bracket and I was just like, oh, like we got the Cobb brothers, we got Tony Smith, Hunter Thorne, we got Ty Lopez. We like all these pros were like spread out away from us. Like, okay, maybe we can get 1 or 2 games in before we meet a pro. And then I looked down where our name was, and it was like Mark Richards, Alex Hicks. And I was like, cool.
Yeah, you got literally one of the best shooters like ever.
No, and they ended up taking second. So
You know what I mean? Well, no,
like,
I'm just saying, like, to go against you in the first game, you got like
yeah.
one of the best ever to do it.
And of course, and then I'm throwing against Mark Richards, and my head goes, "Oh, you can't miss a bag." And of course, then you start missing more, you know?
Yeah.
Because like you just have to be perfect against those guys. Because it didn't matter if I put a bag behind his block or whatever. He'd just roll over. He'd roll and drag his bag in. It just like didn't really matter what I did. It's like, you just gotta be super consistent.
But that's the thing. Mark Richards is an ultimate inspiration for anybody that's getting into the sport. I mean, he hasn't been doing it as long as most. And when you always get that, like what kind of drives me crazy is you'll get some guys, they have that like seniority mindset, like, oh yeah, you know, pay your dues and you get there someday, you know, you're on your way. And I'm like, but am I really on my way? Or have I matched you equally already? It offends you because I've put in way more time, or, you know, like into my practicing. And I take it super serious because guys like Mark Richards has inspired me to become a pro at a fast pace. Because I don't want to be like, 10 years later, you know, I'm trying to now go pro because I feel like I've paid my dues. No. You put in the hard work now, you know, every single day you're throwing. And so so Mark Richards has seen pretty much every single scenario you can see on a board. And he's just always throwing bags. And eventually just his arm just naturally is always doing the same thing. Yeah. Like he doesn't have to really think anymore. He's just like, all right, it's got to go here. The only thing he's thinking about is, do I roll this bag? Do I airmail shot? Do I block? Whatever. Like, and his body just like reacts to where he wants to throw the bag. You know? So I look at it as like guys like Mark Richards is an inspiration for other players who are new to the game, but want to get on a fast track to success, whether they want to go pro or whether they just want to play at a really elite level, you know, club tournament wise, and just make a name for themselves in their local area. So I always get a little like annoyed when there's players that are like, yeah, just keep doing your thing, you know, like, you know, you'll get there. Like, no, dude.
Like, yeah, you're getting pretty good. Like, but it's like, how do I get to the next level? Oh no, just keep playing, just keep throwing, keep going to tournaments. You'll get there. You're like, no, absolutely.
I like, this is off topic of cornhole, but you know, people who get mad at, you know, and then people might get upset with me, but Jake Paul, I personally think the dude has busted his tail to be where he is. He is a boxer. All right. People are like, oh, he's a YouTuber. No, he's a YouTuber turned boxer. That's fine to have other jobs before, and you're just mad that he's successful in everything that he's ever done. And now that he's got 5-6 years or something of dedicated hard work training and became a pro boxer, yes, has he boxed guys that are really not, like, unless you truly follow the world of that and you don't know their names. But why would he go in there and fight a dude who's been like, you know, fighting since he came out the womb and he's got boxing gloves on and that's all he's done his entire life, and then goes in there and gets mauled and doesn't make the paycheck he can make by fighting a huge name, you know, and whether it's a huge name in combat sports in general or, you know, he fights just like a celebrity, whatever. He's going to make more money doing that. But at the end of the day, can he fight a boxer? Of course he can. He fought Tommy Fury, which was really on his level because they're still both, you know, like they're young. But yeah, same thing. You don't have to, like, I feel like people that tell you that, oh yeah, you'll get there one day. No, I mean, yeah, I'll get there one day, but like, who are you to tell me that I have to grind for years and years and years to be able to be on, you know, a level of one of these pros? You know, like maybe because you couldn't do it right away, and that's fine. But you can't tell me, and then I just use that as fuel. Like, okay, yeah, keep telling me that, you know, keep telling me every time I face you, I beat you, you know. But yeah,
like I don't think if you realistically ask anyone, me and you both should not be playing an open. Like with the time we've had in this game, realistically, most people have been playing for a couple years and they're still sitting in competitive.
Right.
And I think that it's just the choice of wanting to practice, the choice of wanting to be better, and just understanding like you're determined and you're going to get there kind of thing, rather than 100%. People in their mind are like, I might be able to do this. But like, it's like, no, I'm winning a national title. Like, I don't know what part you're not understanding this. Like, this is what I'm doing.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I don't want to be 50 years old and everybody's like, okay, you paid your dues.
Yeah.
Get in there.
You can
Get
win
in
the
there.
senior tour.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
Yeah, literally.
you know?
You're on your way to the 55 plus because everybody told you couldn't do it in your 30s or your 20s, you know, because you had to put in your time. It's like, okay, but who was throwing cornhole at 3 years old? You know what I mean? And training like, you know, every single day. And like, no, like cornhole's like it's been around forever.
Most
but
pros
as far
still
as
have a
blowing
9 to
up,
5, and
yeah,
they still make it.
yeah, there's pros that work normal jobs, you know?
Yeah.
I think it's rough West Coast, you know, because we don't get to, you know, have as much as they do. You know, a lot of these guys are over on the east side and, you know, or down, you know, down south, or there's just a lot more ACL cornhole out there versus here. I mean, it's here, but where we are, we have to travel a lot more.
Way bigger though, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely harder to get to tournaments and things like that because of the travel fees and the cost, and especially like living in California, obviously everything's more expensive too. It's just like over time it adds up, and it's like, how are we supposed to get to South Carolina? How are we supposed to get to Florida? How are we supposed to get to wherever it may be? Like, yeah,
well, this is where it begins right here, podcasting for everybody so they can hear about our journey. And that takes us actually into that next part, which was our regional yesterday. We both signed up in both divisions, the singles and the doubles, both in the open. You had one game, and then, or no, you had a first round bye, right?
No, I played my first game, and then I got to buy my second rounder.
That's right.
Yeah, so I actually sat for like 4 hours before I played my second game.
Oh yeah, you sat for a while.
It was pretty rough.
Yeah, I had my first game. A great guy, Mike Smith. He's, you know, anywhere around us right now, local legend basically. He's been throwing a long time, and he's a great player. I mean, when he gets hot, he gets hot. And I, you know, like I said, there was some jitters when I threw. I've thrown against him many times, but because it was regional, I was thinking in my head, oh, stats. You know, like
it's like
I got to go out with a bang and try to throw a 12. You know, the first game, and it kind of got to me a little bit, and then. I think I went out the gates with a 12, and then I shot a 4 on a round, and he shot a 12, and so like it, you know, I was like, oh crap! All right, now I gotta lock in. Let me block everything else out because if I keep focusing on stats, I'm gonna lose. I ended up beating him. I think it was.
I feel like that's one of the biggest things is being present in the game, because I catch myself like if I'm throwing bad, I'm like, dang, I'm throwing a 7.95 or whatever, and I'm like, I gotta get this up, rather than being in the moment. And it doesn't really matter what your PPR is, it's more DPR if anything. Like if it's a muddy board, you might end with a 7 or 8, but as long as you beat your opponent, like it doesn't matter at that point. So like I think that's another thing is people need to realize, and for myself too, is like don't worry about the stats till even after the game. And even if your stats don't look as good, like people weren't there to see what exactly went down.
Right. Well, after I ended up winning that. I went 2-0 on the rounders. After I got him, I think I beat him like 20. I want to say it was like 23-12 or something, somewhere around there. Oh no, you know what? I got him like 23-9. And then my next game was that young guy. I actually faced him like 3 times yesterday. It was crazy how many times I had to play this guy. I beat him in the rounders pretty good. He's like down in I want to say like the San Diego area, somewhere around there. But I ended up beating him, and it was like, I think that game was like 23-12. So we had a pretty good game there for a minute. I just was I think I locked like 5 4s on him in that game, and you know, just not got lucky, just locked in. Then I went into the playoffs, which I mean, obviously the day was extremely long, but going to the playoffs, I played a guy out of San Diego, and he was, man, from everybody's talking, he's a shooter.
Who did you play?
And what's that?
Who? What was his name?
I know it was Lalo was his first name. I can't remember his last name, but he plays for the Bangerangs. There was a few of them.
I don't know their names, but I remember seeing them. With
and they're shooters, man. Yeah. San Diego's got a lot of shooters. But I beat him, and I did really well in that one. And so I'm feeling good, 3-0. I'm like, all right, won my first playoff round. And then I got out of my own rhythm. I go into my next game, Josh Hill, which I've had the pleasure to play him quite a few times and done really well against him. And he knows that too. You know, he even said it to me afterwards. He's just like, that's not how you play. And I was like, no, it's not. Like, I don't know what was
Those
wrong
games
with
are the
me.
worst. When your opponent's like, yeah, I know that wasn't your best game. And you're just like, yeah,
I mean, well, because he smoked me like 23-2 because I just never switched back to my own rhythm. I played rushed. I was fine in my first 3 games. I was fine. My body felt nice and cool. And then I went into that game and I was sweating. I was like, what's wrong with me? And then I would get up to my point and I would just throw it back. And I'm like, what am I doing? You know, but I just kept doing it. And I'm sure we've all been in that situation, but you know, I just was out of rhythm. You know, he beat me. Then I go into my next game and I went right back into my rhythm and I threw a hell of a game. I shot almost a 10 in that game and against a really good player out of nonfiction. I mean, he's one of their top players and I got him like 20, I want to say it's 22-8. And so I'm like, okay, I'm finding my rhythm again. Well, then I go into my next game, which was the same dude that I beat in the rounders in game 2. And I did the same thing that I did against Josh. Got out of rhythm, throwing fast. And I mean, in 2 rounds before I knew it, I was down 15-0. I was like, yeah. And we started, it was funny. We start in our down and back, and I went back-to-back 12s. I was like, okay, you know, we're good. You know, I feel good. You know, board's feeling fine. Arm's feeling good. And then we started and I hit a 5 and he hit a 12. I was like, oh boy. Okay. All right.
Boy.
We can't start this way. And then I hit a 4 because the bags would not push in. I hit a 4 and he hit a 12.
Nice.
And I'm down so big in 2 rounds. And I mean, and mentally for him, he's like, oh dude, he's
on cloud 9.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's feeling great. 15 points or whatnot in two rounds. And I think I put 2 points on him. I got like a 10-8 round. And he hit me. I think he hit me with like 3 12s, and you know, it just really. I mean, that's not me.
Yeah.
And he knew that too because he saw when we played in the rounders. I mean, I was lethal. I was money. So that was rough, unfortunately. But you know, wasn't too bad. Went 4-2 on the rounder days you know, overall in the singles, and you know. Definitely could have played better in those 2 games. I think what like ate me up more was the fact that I gave those games away versus giving them a game. Because normally, like, I haven't had a beatdown in a long time where I'm like, oh man, I just got steamrolled through. Usually, if I lose, it's like 21-17, you know, 21-18.
It's at least
you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. It comes down to like the last bag. Not, hey, let me shake your hand and say, congratulations on the win. I just want you to know I'm about to throw every bag not in the hole.
Yeah.
So just get 12s, bro. You're good.
Just get 12s.
Yeah, get 12s. I'm going to throw 4s. Don't worry. So those were 2 really rough games because I was actually averaging over a 9 on the night. I was like 35% 4-bagger percentage. And that was, I was cloud 9 for that.
That's really good.
And the 2 games... Oh, I did throw one 12 on Josh, but other than that, the rest was absolutely atrocious. And then I didn't throw. I mean, dude, it was the most forgettable game ever against that other dude in the last game I played for the singles. I like told everybody too. I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to play my next game," and they're like, "All right, we're gonna come over there." And literally, they walked over there and I lost. They're like, "We just got over here." I was like, "I know, I'm out already." I walked back and they're like, "Wait, what? Did you play?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm done." Like.
Yeah, that's rough.
They had no time to walk over there to even see what was going on. So it was terrible. It was embarrassing for me because I was like, yeah, like I just played as if I should have been an intermediate division just now and got absolutely humbled, you know. But I know I'm better than that. We all have those moments. I think I was just letting the moment get to my head. And the more we play in these, the more confident and comfortable we're going to get.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that's just like going to your first Cornhole tournament. Like, you're going to be nervous because it's a tournament. It means something.
Yeah.
But
Travis Clark christened me into the game and absolutely just demolished me my very first ever tournament. But it did not steer me away because, like, you know, there's a lot of times that people get blown out and they're like, oh, what am I doing here? Like, this is not for me, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It drove me. And I told Travis Clark this. I said, hey, man, because of how bad you whooped me, I was like, oh, this is what we can do in this sport. Okay, let's go. You know, so then it had me hooked ever since. And, Now I've been able to take him out, and he's a great player, definitely pro level player. And I've been able to beat him. I've beaten his brother, and they're both phenomenal players. So it just and to beat these guys, and when I say I beat them, it's more of like it was an honor to be able to go toe to toe with them and beat them, because they are experienced, more on paper, and so to do it in a short amount of time.
For like years.
Oh, absolutely.
Coming in with 6 months of experience and be able to win. But yeah, I would say like my singles, I'm pretty happy with how I played. I shot like mid-8s the whole time in singles, which isn't really bad, but obviously I got my first game against Brent Gonzalez, plays at Nonfiction. He's like a 79 SPR. We were going pretty much head-to-head. I think it was like 13-14 at one point. And then that was like midway through the game. And then I missed an airmail, and then it kind of just got out of hand, and he ended up winning like 27-13. But, I mean, I wasn't mad with how I shot first game. Obviously, you're going into your first ACL of the year, like whatever, might have some nerves or, And then second game, got a bye, which is unfortunate because then I had to sit for 4.5 hours.
But you won 21-0.
I did win 21-0. So then actually my first match was against the kid out of San Diego, the one that you beat and lost to, the Ultra kid.
Yep.
I feel like I was doing good against him. And like for the first 2 rounds, I ended up giving up like an 8 in the first 2 rounds. And I was just like, damn. But I just thought to myself, like, hey, I'm going to use those as warm-up rounds, like get in the flow of everything. And then I took like an 8 back, or it was like 7-8 or something.
Right.
And I was doing really good, and then some of the bags just got caught up and whatnot, and kind of went south with that game. So then I lost. And then my second game of the playoffs, I got Mason Morgado, which basically was almost a pro this year. And we ended up coming out pretty hot, and I got like 8 points or something like pretty quickly, and then just started stacking. And I think I ended up beating him like 21 or 22 to like, I think it was like 10 or 11 or something.
Yeah, you had a good game against. I watched that one.
That one was a good game. I mean, his bags just weren't like grabbing the hole or anything, and then they were getting bunched up and whatnot, and I was just kind of taking advantage of that. And then my next game was against Eric Turney, the Ultra Pro out of San Diego.
Yep.
I feel like I threw really well that game, came out hot, ended up getting a lead 16-9, and then he found out to just start blocking me. And I should have just reblocked because I know he was throwing Viper R's and he was struggling when I would lay a block by accident, but the boards were playing pretty quick for like what I'm used to, because I do throw on the broadcast boards at home, which are a lot slower than most boards that we're going to be playing on the ACL. But yeah, I was up quite a bit, and then kind of things just kind of went south, but I had a couple opportunities to close it out and beat him, a couple missed shots that I should have hit, but I let him come back and win it. But all of that will be on my YouTube channel, except for the Eric Turney game. Halfway the GoPro died, so which is kind of unfortunate because I was really happy with that game. And like the fact that I feel like a lot of people kind of overlook me going into open or whatever, because I'm only like a 70 SPR or 68 or something. Like I've dropped quite a bit. I was at a 75 at one point, but I feel like I really came out and like I feel like I did a good performance wise, like where people shouldn't overlook me kind of thing. And it's only going to go up from here, to be honest.
100%.
So competing against those guys and like especially playing Eric Turney and getting up and then almost winning that match, like I know I definitely, with switching my grip and stance and everything a little over a month ago, like I know once that gets locked in, like it's going to be game over. Like I'm going to be up the middle and going after people for sure.
Well, that's one thing I will say. We have the technical ability. I mean, it's there. I mean, I am more hole for hole shot, I would say, between us.
100%.
You have a much better roll shot. Like it's so weird. I'm at home, I roll all day. I go to tournaments, I'll get a few of them. Like it's just, I don't know what it is. Like it's like the switch flips off or something. You know what I mean? Like maybe I'm overthinking it, because like I don't think about it when I'm at home. I just do it. You know, and even like it's a nice backloaded roll shot. When I'm in tournaments, it's like more of a cut, which I'm okay with, because it will still cut around, you know, and then also, you know, it still rolls.
One thing I do notice the difference between playing the tournament in your house, and I was going to talk to you about this, is when you throw them at the tournament, you throw them a lot higher. And I feel like at home they come in a little bit hotter.
Yeah.
And so then they tend to slap and go a little bit further and roll rather than just sitting on top of the bag.
Yeah.
I have noticed that.
Yeah, they definitely. I mean, now don't get me wrong. I do like sometimes when it does like it'll slap and then sit on a bag, because then I know that they really got to try to be hard on that shot.
Oh,
to
and
try
you
to
know
get
they're
it from
going
under.
for the bar of soap. Who doesn't
Yeah.
want to go for a bar of soap and hit a nasty play? And most time that forces them to go fast side and slide right off the board.
Yeah,
And then you can
and
take
that
advantage of that.
bailed me out so many times yesterday where I hit it and it just landed nicely on their bag, and then they try to push, and even if they get their bag in, their other one's going off, which is nice. Or they're getting both of our bags in and then their bag goes off. I'm like, all right, here we go. I got a lead now, lead advantage. So there is some points to that I like, and I would like to keep that in my arsenal. But I definitely, when it does come to like a roll shot, I sometimes want to roll depending on where they are on the board. I want to roll and then get it. Like if they're a little farther down, I want to roll and get the advantage to plant that bag right in front of theirs. It doesn't even have
like
to go
a
in.
blocker over their blocker.
Exactly. So I want that because I feel like that right there just automatically, like, it switches in their mind. They're like, oh crap, like I just had the advantage, it's gone, all of it's gone now, because I mean, yes, it would be nice just to go in, and then obviously you got to hope that their push game is like, not good right there. But if you have anything to just like gain an advantage where it doesn't go in the hole, but it is like, it's
I've
gonna
definitely
go in
had a couple of those rolls where like it just sits over their bag in the front, and I'm just like, well, that worked out. Wasn't trying to do that, but
dude, that's better than going in sometimes, man.
Literally, oh yeah, like if you can plant your bag somewhere, like sometimes I feel like maybe not for the highest level players, but if you say like they have a bag off to the left and your last bag comes up short of the hole, like that most of the time they're going to try to push through it, and then they're going to bounce off it if they don't collect it correctly, or they're going to try to shoot an airmail, or something's going to happen when they give up a little bit of extra points sometimes. So sometimes not going in will benefit you in certain situations.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think hole for hole is cool. It's going to up the PPR if you're really good at it. But at the end of the day, I think when you have that grudge match of, bags, fighting for, who's going to have the advantage, I think that just, to me,
it's just hole control. Having hole control is what you want.
To me, it just makes it way better. And if you are very good at that, like being able to just get behind somebody or get an edge and get in front of their bag.
I mean, there was like yesterday when you told me to lay it behind. I'm like, bags are playing fast, boards playing fast. When I try to throw a block, it's going to go to the left. Like, I know it. So then we try to cut around it. And then Bubba, which actually rolled and landed on his own bag. And then you're like, just block. And I threw a perfect block right behind. It actually won the round because of that one block.
Yeah.
Or he would have been able to clean everything up.
In your first one, you cut too hard and it sat on the back end of the hole. And I was like, well, that one's out of play. It's not even good enough to drag it. And I was like, oh, you just got to hope that he doesn't. Because the big part was the fact that he was trying to roll his bag to leave it there. And he came up short on it and it planted on the bag, which then I was like, you block him, and then you did. And it was a perfect block because now, you created an even harder shot for him. And I think, I don't know if he missed one off the board or something, but I just know that it was like he got like 2 points on that one or something.
It was a 5-4, I think.
Was it a 5-4?
I think it was a 5-4. I think he ended up hitting one of my bags in, but one of my bags went off too or something.
There was something. Or it might have been, I think you had one in. I think you had one in. I want to say the one on the back. And then I think it was a 6-4 round, man.
Maybe 6-4.
But yeah, it leads us to our doubles. A very forgettable day in doubles. I mean, my knee was swollen. I mean, we had played, mind you, everybody, we had played cornhole for 14 hours yesterday.
Singles went from 10 a.m. Mind you, we get there at 9 to warm up. It goes from 10. Doubles doesn't start till 7 p.m. And then we have 2 rounders again. Yeah,
2 rounds into double limb. And it wasn't like you were just going right into your games. We had to sit and wait again. I mean, there was less people for the doubles.
Yeah, it was there's like what, 16 teams, 15 teams.
Yeah, a lot of people went home. They're like, screw this.
No, I felt bad for the people that showed up just for doubles because if I was showing up
they
just for
sat.
doubles, I would have showed up around 11, 12. Singles probably lasts a couple hours. You get some reps in, and then you're ready to go. But people got there at 11, 12, 1, and sat there for 6 hours. And half the people even left.
Rickford was there all day.
Mm-hmm.
He was there all day because I even saw him when we got there. I was like, "Hey, man, you playing?" He's like, "No, I'm gonna play for the doubles." And he was there in the morning. So I'm like, "Don't get hammered. Don't get hammered, bro, because you're gonna be here all day long." But no, that was a long day. So our doubles was very forgettable. 0-2 in the rounders. We did not look good. By any means, we did not look good. We had some good moments, but we had a game against Juice and Rafa. Great shooters. And honestly, Juice left me so many opportunities. I mean, I knew it too. I'm hearing him. He's getting mad at himself, and I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to bail you out, bro. Don't worry." By not capitalizing points in the hole.
There were so many times that he'd have one bagger off to the side, and you're like, every time someone misses, I'm getting a 4-bagger. And I'm like,
yeah,
cool. We're about to rack. There was probably at least 6 or 8 points left on the board because you would just come up short. And I'm like, how is this bag even coming up short when I can't even keep the bag on the board?
Yeah, dude. Because you know me, man. I mean, I'm hole for hole. I'm deadly, and I know I am. I'm my stat crazy. I'm stat crazy for going in the hole, but it just for some reason it was just. I think I was just so fatigued, man. My knee was messed up. I have to wear the knee brace for tournaments, man. If I don't, I'm gonna have like a swollen, cantaloupe kneecap, and it just sucks. So, yeah, I think there were some mixtures, but at the end of the day, nobody cares and throw better,
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, it's just, No, I
think it was a good weekend. We learned a lot, like what we need to do.
Yeah.
I obviously lack 4 baggers with my last bag for some reason. I never can make it in the hole, so that's obviously good. And on fast boards, I lack blocking. If I have slow bags and slow boards, I'm gonna be great, and I'm in 7th heaven. But at that point, I'm used to throwing Vikings on ACL broadcast boards, and not a lot of people are doing that. They're throwing wizards. They're throwing faster bags. And not even on these faster boards, they're still throwing wizards. And I'm used to throwing Vikings and hardly even staying on with Vikings.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something I need to pick up on my end and figure out how to just kind of have a lighter toss but still be accurate. Yeah. Figure out blocking, just work on air mills and everything. And then just a couple different things that we took from this weekend and just figure out and move on.
So we know what we need to work on. I mean, for me, mine is just building back up my consistency. I mean, wear a knee brace, like that has to happen. And then honestly, one of the biggest things that I really like, 2 of the biggest things that I want to tune up is gaining leverage on roll shots and being really consistent with them. And then also my step out game. It's like, I'm going to say right now, and this is probably, it might be a little bit better than this, but I'm going to say like 50-50.
I'd probably say 60-40.
It probably is a little bit better, but I just, sometimes I'm like, like when I step out, like, I don't know, like it starts feeling foreign a little bit. And obviously you have to have that to be able to master certain shots or even just collecting a nice bag. I've done it many times, but sometimes it just doesn't feel right. And so I need to tune up that. So it's like, if I step out, I'm like, okay, I'm good. And then also just rolling. Air mills, I'm lethal, man. You saw it.
Yeah.
In our win against, that wasn't in the win. That was right after we beat Bubba and Christian. And which was a hell of a game, by the way. We knew it was going to be a shootout, great players. And then we go right into the next one, and it was, D-Bags, and who'd you throw? Who was it that you threw against?
This kid named Lawrence.
Lawrence P. Yeah. So he just got picked into nonfiction. He's their top shooter out of nonfiction, by the way. Like right now, at least stat wise. Chris, who owns nonfiction, amazing person, by the way. Let me see here. If I'm not
also talking about that game, we gave up 11-0 in the first 2 rounds. Not gonna lie, thought the game was going south. We definitely fought our way back for sure. I think we pretty much matched it at like 12-14 or something. Yeah. And then we let it get out of our hands again. But like,
so Lawrence P's out of nonfiction. He is their number 1 guy right now. He's shooting at a 76-94. This is Scoreholio wise. Oh no, he's number 2 in their club right now. Maybe Brent Gonzalez has it right now. Let me see. If I look up nonfiction here again. Yeah, Brent Gonzalez is number 1 right now. Lawrence P is number 2. Suave is number 3. And so beating Suave in the singles, I mean, that felt good. And I mean, he's got an 8.43 PPR. I mean, he shoots really, really well. I mean, I tell you what, dude, like nonfiction just has shooters everywhere. Like there's just shooters. Yeah. But yeah, so Lawrence, one of their top guys. So
I didn't even know who he was, being completely honest.
Yeah, he's in nonfiction now. Great. I mean, you saw it firsthand. He's a great shooter.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll tell you what, man, the airmail I hit right over that first one, and then you said that other one's hanging. Oh my god, dude, airmail drag for 10.
Well, he bumped it up more. It was like probably an inch, and then now half the bag's in. Like you got to go for it.
Yeah,
especially with knowing that I saw it. You got to go for it.
I hit the airmail and I saw it drop. I was like, let's go, baby. I just hit 2 back-to-back airmails with an airmail drag 10. He did get his second airmail, which it was a 10-7 round. And you know, and shout out to D-Bags for winning the competitive singles yesterday. I mean, he took him down. There was a lot of good shooters in that one too. So he's been throwing significantly better too.
Yeah.
You know, so no, that was a great team that we lost to. Honestly, there was no bad players.
No,
not a single bad player that didn't deserve to be in, you know, in the opens. Like they all deserve to be there, and they were great shooters. So hats off to everybody who did beat us. You know, and that's where our learning experience, you know, our learning lessons need to come into what we need to do to work on and capitalize. So thank you guys for beating us and showing us what we got to do. We'll definitely bounce back for sure. So
okay,
but overall, it was a good day.
Let's wrap up with the ACL Open this past weekend.
Yeah, dude. Shout out to Alan Rawls.
Alan Rawls taking it home for the singles. Tony Smith coming in second. Ryan Weinfeld taking third. I feel like that guy, like he just come out of nowhere, to be honest. Like last season, I feel like he really like blossomed last season. If that makes sense. Matt Guy tying for third also.
Yeah, there was some big names in there, man. Ryan Windsor bringing it in.
And doubles. Justin Burton, Logan Chamberlain taking it down. I feel like they definitely were the rookies of last year. People saw them coming in hot. No one really didn't even know who they were. Like, I mean, Logan Chamberlain did come up through the college scene, but they came out of nowhere, and they were taking it down last year, and then fell probably a little bit short of where they wanted, but coming out hot, first doubles of the year, taking it down to against Jackson Gore and Sammy Soto. Sammy Soto is a rookie of the year, or gonna be. I know a lot of people are rooting on that to see where he's going to end up.
I think it could happen.
It could, and he's a really good shooter coming out of Texas, and then Devin Harbaugh and Jake Gore taking third. I mean,
if you scroll down a little bit, though, man, the shockers to me, and this is just, I mean, obviously everybody in here is a well-deserved player to be featured in there, but Gavin Cano coming third in bracket, and then you look at Jake Trzynski, fourth in bracket, Justin Burton, fourth in bracket. That's like really. You know, Hunter Thorne, third in bracket, like Trey Birchfield.
But looking at the lineup, like everyone here has the potential to take it at any time.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, you just see some of those names and you're like, really? But I mean, it does make sense because there is some smashing good players. So,
I mean, I'm going to say one kid to look out for right now is Ryan Trainer. I hope I'm saying that right. Trader. But I was watching some singles, and he was demolishing people.
Ryan. I think it is Ryan Trader.
Yeah, he was killing it. He was definitely destroying some people. So I guarantee he's going to be up there quick.
Well, you look at the doubles. So we talked about Justin Burton, but I mean him and Logan Chamberlain. That is an absolutely monstrous team, and they took first. Jackson Gore, Sammy Soto bringing second. Devin Harbaugh and Jacob Gore bringing in tying for third. Alan Rawls, Chris Kingsbury. It's a good team. It's a really good team. We got some other honorable mentions in here. Cheyenne Bubenheim and Jeremy Frazier. That's a power team. Yeah, that is an absolute power team.
I think all these names, like anybody can win at any time, and that's what people don't understand too. Is like cornhole is one of those sports. Like you might be on one day and then another person might be on. You're only as good as your last game. Like, it doesn't matter if you play, say you take first in the state.
Yeah.
The next tournament, you could be taking fifth. Like, it just comes down to practice, consistency, who's feeling comfortable at that time. Like, there's so much that goes into it that people don't understand, that it can change at any given moment. If you're not on your top game at any point in time, you slack off a little bit, there's someone coming up right behind you to take it.
Right. 100%. We'll give a shout out to the women's singles too. Cheyenne Bubenheim bringing the win there, being the champ. Sam Finley and Cameron Belvin coming up in, let's see, second in bracket for Cameron Belvin. Rosie Streaker. These are some big names in here. I mean, this is some big name shooters. Mm-hmm. So that was a great. That was actually a great open. And then another real quick thing, guys. Everybody, reach out to Hunter Thorne and wish him a speedy recovery. He broke his ankle or foot. So hopefully he's got a speedy recovery and can get back into action soon.
I mean, he could be like Alex Rawls. Have you seen his clips of him on his scooter still throwing bags? Are they going to legally allow him to do that?
I think they could. Like, it might be tough for him because he's not used to it, but I mean, he definitely could. We have a guy that we had. Where I forget where he throws at. I don't think he's in. He doesn't rep a club, but he plays everywhere. He actually, the first time I met him was at a Sandbaggers tournament, and he had his whole leg like casted up because he like ripped his Achilles, and he was playing out there on that. And now, he had a speedy recovery because he was all healed up and back to throwing and back to working, and it was a work injury, and he was like right back into work, and the dude's a machine. So yeah, but hopefully Hunter Thorne has a speedy recovery on that. That does suck because he's definitely a top shooter.
Yeah.
So just reach out to him, everybody. Hit him up on his Instagram and give him some warm love there. But yeah. Was there anything else that we needed to cover today, or?
I think that's pretty much it. We're going to probably wrap it up here. If you guys want to check out our YouTube channels, they will be linked down below. I know Merrick Smart, have you started yours yet, or you're starting it?
So we have the vlogging one coming soon. We do have some video footage. We just we're going to be working on that. Now, they can just reach out to me on my IG right now. That is getting posted like there's just tons of content always going up on my Instagram.
We'll just have everything down below. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube,
Facebook,
everything,
all that.
Everywhere you can find us. But I feel like that's going to wrap up the first episode. And thanks for joining us. Anything else you want to say before we close it out?
That's going to be it.
All right.
Get out there and throw some bags, everybody.
We'll see you guys in episode 2.